Is cussing really the problem as a Christian, or could it be something deeper? Nowadays in Christianity, we have been groomed to think if we hear a Christian say a cuss word, they're less than and they're not as worthy before God. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So the problem is not the word, the problem is the heart. You can have all these good outward actions, but still be so dirty on the inside and so full of gossip, hatred, and rage. I'll give you an example. When I was very judgmental in my Christian walk and very works-based, I used to hear Christians say cuss words and immediately think they were fake Christians and turn around and go gossip about them towards my friends that I thought were real Christians. The funny thing about that is I was the one that was being deceitful. I was the one that was going against what God would want. Say things like, I'm saved by grace, but I still try not to sin. It insinuates that we think we cannot sin anymore. We think we can try harder and do better. And it works for a little bit, but it always leaves us empty and crushed because we're focused on ourselves and not focused on what Jesus made us. So what it really is I don't trust identity to produce fruit in my life. I trust my own self-effort. And Paul talks about this in Galatians 3:3. Having begun in the spirit, are ye now made perfect by the flesh. So what we don't realize is sometimes we just don't cuss because we don't want to cuss. We don't want to look like idiots. We want to respect ourselves and respect other people. We don't have to over spiritualize it and think that we're better or more of Christians than other people because we don't cuss. Because guess what? There's other avenues in our life that we're not very mature in and we mess up a lot in. And there could be other people that cuss but are better than us in different avenues. Growth does not come from trying harder. It comes from trusting deeper. But that's the problem. We are so hyper focused on control. We think that trying harder and staying away from sin is actually the right thing to do. What we don't realize is grace does not excuse sin. It actually breaks sin's power. And that's why Romans 6:14 says, sin shall have no dominion over you, because we are under grace now and not under the law. Forced behavior is always going to produce religion. We cannot measure our holiness based off of what we are good at controlling. It's all about the heart. If you say dang it when you stub your toe and you're genuinely angry and that falls out onto other people versus you saying damn when you stub your toe and you actually are calm about it, which one do you think is worse? If what you're saying starts to hurt and point people farther from the gospel, you should not say it. But you don't need to think that you're better than someone because you don't drop an F-bomb. Because if we're going to use that logic, why don't you do that in everything in your life? You say you do it to honor God. Why don't you honor God in every avenue in your life? Because at the core of it, you're doing it to feed your own ego. So no, this is not permission to speak carelessly, but what it is for you to get wise, you to have awareness, know the room, know who you're speaking to. If you acting all religious on the outside to just make yourself feel better, it's going to harden other people's hearts and push people farther away from Jesus. Or you could become all things so that all men might come to the knowledge of the gospel, like Paul says, and try and dial it back a little bit because you realize your identity is in Christ. So again, no, you probably shouldn't cuss. But if you do cuss, you're not going to go to hell for it and you're not less of a Christian.